think that my songwriting is always quite cathartic in the way that I think that most of the time, anything that I'm singing or any of my lyrics that I write always reflect a real life situation. Hi KLAT, my name is Drew Thomas, and this is my Get to Know Me with KLAT magazine. I moved to London because I grew up in a small town, and to me it was quite, it kind of suppressed my creativity a little bit. And an old band that I was in, we kind of were so passionate about what we were doing, we felt that the only way to kind of achieve that was going to London. So I moved about 7 years ago now, had no idea what I was going to do, didn't have a job. And then finally when kind of I got there, it felt like a whole new world. I felt this kind of sense of independence that I'd never kind of felt before. So creatively, it kind of opened so many doors for me. I've kind of met all my kind of close friends there, and I've definitely grown massively as a musician since it. Yeah, so I think that my songwriting is always quite cathartic in the way that I think that most of the time, anything that I'm singing or any of my lyrics that I write always reflect a real life situation. And there was kind of something that happened a few years ago. My friend lost their battle with mental health, and it was really difficult at the time because kind of I felt a little bit disappointed. I felt like obviously really upset and hurt, but more just kind of sad that they wouldn't get to experience all the awesome things that were going on and they could have had. And I wrote actually 2 EPs kind of about this. And I think that in general, if something like that happens to you, it kind of changes your priorities and the ways that you look at music and the way you look at writing and the way you kind of look at the world in general. So that's one kind of key thing that really I reflected on and then kind of became part of my art. I think that I always really liked being independent for a really long time, and I kind of didn't like sharing the creative process, which is really, really silly looking back, because probably some of the best friends I've made and some of the best songs I've written have been through kind of collaborations with other writers and other artists. I'd say that it shaped me massively as a musician, kind of sometimes having negative feedback as well, because you sometimes think that the way that you write and the way that you sing or you create is the way, but I think one thing I learned is that I've grown so much more as a musician by having that influence from other people. So I'd say that having kind of exposing yourself to other creatives and another way of thinking is so, so important. So when I moved to London and my old band split up, I was adamant to go kind of the other way from the rock indie sound that we'd created. So I really focused on this kind of soulful songwriting, and I kind of lost a lot of the energy and a lot of the passion that I had for music and for creating a sound that really felt like me. So with this EP, I feel like it's kind of me finding myself again and really kind of exploring who I am now as a person, as an artist. So the EP is going to be out probably at the start of next year, but I'm going to be releasing a load of singles from it later this year. And to me, it's just got this kind of rock energy. I'm finally open about my sexuality as well in it. So it's just a lot of kind of feelings all thrown into one. And I can't wait for everyone to hear it. I think as a person and as an artist, I am so at home on stage, and I think that it's the best representation of my music and of me as a person as well. So I'd say the best moments come when you least expect them. I did a headline show in London a couple of years back, and I have a song that I wrote when I moved to London called Soho, and it's about falling out with my partner and best friend. And I remember playing it for the first time in London, and literally the whole crowd just sang every single word. And to me, that will never be beaten, no matter how big the crowds might get or how exciting an opportunity is. To kind of have that hard work rewarded with a feeling like that is so important. And I think in general, just kind of there's a feeling you get on stage and in a certain part of a song or at a certain moment where you just know that's the best feeling in the world. And I don't think any drug or any feeling or any moment can beat that. I feel myself quite privileged to have a lot of the opportunities and naturally not have to have as many challenges as other people, but I find that when I was growing up, it really wasn't okay to be queer, or wasn't really okay to be in a band and kind of sound like that. And I know that sounds a bit silly because you have people like Freddie Mercury from Queen, who was like openly gay and quite flamboyant on stage, but I always felt for an artist like me that was making indie guitar music, it didn't really make sense, so I kind of hid that side of me. And I still think now there aren't really any examples of people that kind of make that kind of indie guitar rock music, but also open and okay with their sexuality. So I think it's a constant challenge. I don't think I've really overcome it yet, but I'm fighting. I'm trying to hope that maybe if I make music and kind of tell the story in the way I want to tell it, then someone that's 16 years old that felt the way I did might kind of have someone to kind of that's doing it and they can look up to, maybe. I loved like 70s bands, mainly because my mum played them constantly in the car when I was young. But I'd say Fleetwood Mac, T-Rex, even bands like the Beatles probably influenced my early writing, which was quite simple and just based on the chorus. And I think in general, when I go to write a song, if the chorus isn't good, it's just like out the window straight away. And actually, I think someone said there was like, you can write a verse that you love as well. And I think that's part of like me developing as a musician, was to love all parts of a song. But I think growing up, because I heard songs on the radio, and obviously when I was growing up, the radio was kind of the key part of where you discovered music. I think it was just anything my mum would put on. So I do blame her if I have a terrible music taste, but I think she had it quite good. I would love to collaborate with Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. I just think she's such an icon. But I've actually really recently got into, there's an artist called Chapel Roan, who she's just blowing up at the moment, and she's just understands pop music completely and how it's meant to be such a kind of visual journey. And I think that it'd be really fun to write a song with her. I love traveling in general. My partner and I had a idea this year that we're going to try and go to a different country every month, which as a skint musician is really hard. So I'm going to count today as being in Wales and that counting as like this month. But I love traveling. I'm a big fan of pubs. Unfortunately, I'm a big drinker. So that's why a lot of my songs actually relate to alcohol and the bad decisions you make when you drink it. But yeah, no, I like traveling, I love music festivals, and I've got a load of amazing friends that I like meeting up with as well. Ooh, quirky or unusual fact. Oh, I'm gonna have to think about this one. I would say that I actually wrote my first song when I was 7 years old, and this is gonna sound like I haven't developed as an artist, but it is actually a portion of the song which I kind of finished when I was 12 is actually in my upcoming EP, sampled. So listen out for that. I've been doing this a while.